In the heart of a quiet, peaceful village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a woman named Amara. She was known throughout the village for her beauty, grace, and wisdom. Her skin glowed with the richness of the earth, her eyes shone like the stars above, and her smile could warm even the coldest hearts. But it wasn't just her external beauty that made her beloved by many. It was her intellect, her kindness, and her deep connection with the secrets of the world. Amara was no ordinary woman. She carried within her the knowledge of ancient truths, stories that had been passed down from her ancestors, secrets that had the power to change the fate of those who sought them. Her husband, Chijioke, was equally revered. He was strong, dependable, and a skilled hunter. The two of them made the perfect pair, a balance of strength and wisdom, beauty and grace. They were admired by all, and their love seemed unshakable. Together they had built a life that many envied, a life filled with respect, happiness, and security. But unknown to the villagers, Amara held a dangerous secret, one that could shatter her perfect life if ever revealed. She knew things about the gods, about the spirits of the forest, and about the hidden paths of magic that others could only dream of. These were not the kind of secrets a woman like her should keep. But she had kept them safe, tucked away in her heart for years. She had always hoped that the time would never come when those secrets would be uncovered. But fate, as it always does, had other plans. The night was dark, and the village square was lit only by the flickering flames of the torches that lined the streets. Amara and Chijioke had just returned from a long day at the river, where they had spent hours preparing for the upcoming harvest festival. They had been married for 10 years, and the bond between them had only grown stronger with time. Their laughter echoed through the air as they walked hand in hand toward their home, unaware that a storm was brewing on the horizon. At the edge of the village, a figure cloaked in shadows stood watching them. Eze, the village chief, had been observing Amara from a distance for months. He had heard rumors about her wisdom, her knowledge of the unseen world, and her mysterious connection to the spirit realm. There were whispers that Amara knew things that no one else did, things that could change the course of their lives. And Eze, who had always sought power, wanted that knowledge for himself. As Amara and Chijioke entered their home, the fire in the hearth crackled and popped, casting long shadows against the walls. They exchanged soft words, preparing for a quiet evening together, but a sudden knock at the door interrupted their peace. Amara felt a chill run down her spine. "Who could it be at this hour?" Chijioke murmured, wiping his hands on his cloth before walking toward the door. Amara's heart quickened as she watched him open it. Standing there in the cold night was Eze, the village chief, his face dark and unreadable. "Good evening, Chief Eze," Chijioke said, trying to hide his surprise. "What brings you here at such a late hour?" Eze stepped into the home without waiting for an invitation. "I have come to speak with your wife, Amara," he said, his voice cold and commanding. "It is important." Amara's heart skipped a beat. She could feel the weight of his gaze on her, as though he were trying to see right through her. She stood, her hands trembling slightly, unsure of what to say. "Of course, Chief Eze. Please make yourself comfortable," she said, trying to maintain her composure. Eze didn't sit. Instead, he walked to the center of the room and turned to face Amara. His eyes were hard, almost accusing. "I know you've been keeping secrets, Amara," he said, his voice low. "Secrets about the world beyond this village, about the gods and the spirits that dwell in the forests, about things that could change the very fabric of our existence." Amara felt the air in the room grow thick. Her mind raced as she searched for the right words to respond, but before she could speak, Eze continued. "I have seen the way you look at the moon, the way you speak to the winds. The villagers have noticed your strange habits. They have begun to whisper, Amara, and I, as their chief, cannot allow such things to go unnoticed." Amara's heart pounded in her chest. She had always been careful, always kept her knowledge hidden. but it seemed that her time had run out. "What is it you want, Izzy?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. Izzy took a step closer to her. "I want you to give me your husband for one night." Amara's breath caught in her throat. "What?" she exclaimed, unable to believe what she was hearing. Izzy's gaze never wavered. "You see, Amara, I know that you are hiding something that can only be unlocked by the bond between you and Chijioke. I have heard the old stories, the ones that speak of the power of a union like yours, and I believe that the secrets you keep, the ones you have hidden away for so long, are tied to your love for your husband." Amara felt her world tilt. "You want me to give you Chijioke?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Not just for me," Ise replied, "for the good of the village. You know that the balance of power in this world is delicate. You hold the key to many things, Amara, and I believe that by sharing your husband with me for just one night, you will reveal the truth that could save or destroy us all." Amara was silent for a long moment, her mind spinning. She could not, would not, let her husband fall into the hands of someone like Ez. But the truth was, she had no choice. Eze knew too much. He had threatened the very foundation of her life, and she knew that if she refused, he would destroy everything she had built. Her home, her love, her husband. Chijioke stood by, his face pale, unable to comprehend the weight of what was being asked. "Why should I trust you?" Amara finally asked, her voice trembling. Easy's lips curled into a small, cold smile. "You don't have a choice. You will give him to me, or everything you hold dear will be torn apart." Amara's mind was a storm of emotions. She could not allow Eze to manipulate her, yet the weight of his words pressed on her heart. She glanced at Chijioke, whose face was pale with shock. His eyes pleaded with her, his trust in her unwavering, but how could she protect him? How could she protect them both? I cannot," Amara finally whispered, her voice shaking with the force of her decision. "I cannot give you my husband, Eze, not for any reason." Eze's expression darkened, and for a moment, Amara thought she saw a flicker of something darker in his eyes. He stepped closer, his voice cold as ice. "You leave me no choice, Amara," he said. "You will regret this. If you will not give him to me willingly, then I will take him by force. I know what you are hiding, and if I have to destroy everything you hold dear to get what I want, so be it." Chijioke stepped forward, his chest heaving with anger and confusion. "What is this madness, Chief Ease? Why are you doing this? What do you want from us?" Amara's heart broke for him, but she knew she had to act fast. There was no way Eze would stop. He had already made up his mind. But what if there was another way? A way to protect Chijioke, her village, and her own soul from the darkness that Eze represented. "I will give you what you seek," Amara said suddenly, her voice steady, "but not in the way you think." Eze's eyes narrowed, suspicion flashing in his gaze. "What do you mean, woman?" Amara stood tall, her shoulders squared with determination. "You want my husband for one night, but you do not understand the consequences of such an action. There are powers at play here far beyond your comprehension." She stepped closer to him, her voice low and filled with a quiet power. "I will give you Chijioke, but not for your purposes. I will give him to you in exchange for something more valuable, my freedom. If you promise to leave this village, to leave my husband and me in peace, I will reveal to you the secret you seek. But you must swear by the gods themselves that you will never return." Eze, momentarily taken aback by her offer, seemed to weigh his options. He had come seeking power, but perhaps there was more to gain from this mysterious woman than he had first realized. "I swear it," he said, though his voice lacked the sincerity that his words would suggest. Amara nodded, her face impassive. "Then prepare yourself. The night you seek will come, but it will not be what you expect." Under the cover of darkness, the village gathered around the fire as Amara led Chijioke to the center of the clearing. Easy stood across from them, his expression unreadable. The air seemed to thicken with the weight of the moment. Amara began to chant in a language that only she knew, her voice rising and falling like the winds of an ancient storm. The earth beneath their feet seemed to hum with energy, the trees swaying as though they, too, could feel the power building. Chijioke looked at her, his eyes filled with confusion and trust. He did not know what was happening, but he knew that Amara was doing this for them. She was saving them, even if it meant sacrificing herself. As the chant reached its peak, a blinding light filled the clearing. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The ground beneath them trembled, and the very sky seemed to darken. Amara, her face calm, turned to Ease. "You sought power, but not in the way you imagined. You will have your night with my husband, but it will come at a price that will change you forever." Ezzy's eyes widened in realization, but it was too late. He stepped toward Chijioke, but as his hand reached out, the light surged, and Ezzy was thrown back, his body slamming into the ground with force. His face twisted in pain and shock as the magic took hold of him. "Your soul is now bound to the night, Easy," Amara said softly, her voice echoing in the air. "You will never find peace. The secret you sought to uncover will remain hidden from you, and in your pursuit of power, you have lost your humanity." The light slowly faded, and the village returned to its stillness. The fire crackled once more, the air cool and calm. Ezzy lay unconscious on the ground, his body unmoving, but his face now twisted in a permanent grimace of regret. Chijioke rushed to Amara's side, his arms wrapping around her. "What have you done?" he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "I've protected us," Amara replied softly. "I couldn't give you to him, Chijioke. I couldn't let him have you. But the secret I hold is not something anyone should possess, not even him." They stood together, their love stronger than ever, but they knew that the balance had been shifted. The village had been saved, but at what cost? As the years passed, the village remained peaceful. Izzy never returned, and the mystery of Amara's power faded into legend. But there were those who still whispered about the night when the gods themselves seemed to walk among them, about the strange woman who had protected her love at all costs. Amara and Chijioke lived out their days in peace, their love unbroken. But Amara's secret, the ancient knowledge of the spirits and the gods, remained with her, a silent force that guided her decisions. She had learned the true power of love, of sacrifice, and of the dangers that came with seeking too much. And as the sun set on the horizon, Amara would sometimes look to the stars, knowing that the night she had protected had changed everything. But she also knew that some secrets were meant to stay hidden. Some things were better left untouched, for the secrets of the gods were never meant to be known by man.